IXL section S.15, compare linear functions, graphs, and equations. This IXL I really like because it's a good review of how to find the slope of a line, how to find the y-intercept, how to compare the two, and how to write the equation of a line. It starts off pretty easy, and then towards the end, it has some more challenging questions, right? So let's take a look at this. It says function A and function B are linear functions. That means that when you do a graph of the function, you're going to get a straight line. Which statement is true? Is the slope of function A greater than the slope of function B? Or the slope of function A is less than the slope of function B? So we got to find the slope of both lines. All right? La pregunta dice, este IXL es muy bueno porque repasa cómo encontrar el slope de una ecuación, de una línea, también el Y-intercept y cómo evaluar una función que vamos a ver más tarde. Empieza bastante fácil y después, más cerca al final, se pone más complicado. Ok, así que aquí está preguntando cuál declaración es verdadero, que el slope de función A es mayor que el slope de función B o el slope de función A es menos que el slope de función B. All right, so the slope of function A is this number right here because it's written in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is this, and the slope is always this number, the m. Ok, el slope siempre es el número al frente de la x cuando está escrito en esta forma, slope-intercept form, en la forma slope-intercept. For this one, you gotta actually calculate the slope by picking 2 points that are on the line. Just pick 2 points that you could tell exactly where they're located. So I would use this point, and you could use this one. You could also use this one or this one. But the closer they are together, the easier it'll be because you won't have to simplify. ¿Ok? Para calcular el slope de una línea, escogen 2 puntos que se pueden ver exactamente donde quedan. Y ahora voy a calcular el rise y el run. El rise es la distancia vertical y el run es la distancia horizontal. Okay, so the rise is going to be 2. The rise is 2, and the run is also 2. So the slope is the rise over the run. You don't have to write this out. I'm just writing it to make sure you're all with me. The rise over the run. So in this case, the rise is 2 and the run is 2. By the way, remember, when the line is going up from left to right, the slope is positive. Recuerden que cuando la línea va para arriba de izquierda a derecha, el slope es positivo. If it would have been going down, the slope would be negative. Si hubiera estado yendo para abajo de izquierda a derecha, el slope sería negativo. Anyway, so the slope is 1. For this line, the slope is 1. Para esta línea, el slope es 1. So the slope of function A is greater than the slope of function B. Okay, el slope de función A es más grande que el slope de función B. All right, next example. Same type of question. Okay, so in this one, in function B, the slope, it's already written in slope-intercept form. So the slope is, excuse me, the slope is 2. Okay, ya función B está escrito en la forma slope-intercept. Así que el slope es el número 2. For function A, I gotta figure out what the slope is. All right, so I could use this point and this one. You could also use this point right here. Wait, did I do that right? Let me make sure that I'm writing that correctly. That one and that one, yeah. Yeah, or you could use this one as well. They all work. Okay, se puede usar estos dos puntos o estos dos, te dan la misma respuesta. All right, so if I use these two, you get the rise is going to be 1, 2, 3. The rise is 3, and the run is 1. If I would have used this one, I get the same answer, 3 and 1. Okay, así que para esta línea, el rise, que es la distancia vertical, es 3, y el run, que es la distancia horizontal, es 1. Así que el slope es 3. The slope is 3. So the slope of function A is 3, the slope of function B is 2. So the correct statement is that the slope of function A is greater than the slope of function B. All right? Esta es la que está correcta. El slope de la función A es más grande que el slope de función B. All right, next one. Same type of question. They'll change up in a second, but for now, they're all similar. Okay? So the slope of function B is 5 because it's already written in slope-intercept form. And the slope of function A, I'm going to use this point and this point. It would be 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay, so the slope of function A is 3 over 1, which is 3. All right, so the slope of function B is greater than the slope of function A, but the way they have the answer written, you got to write it this way, or you got to choose this one. The slope of function A is less than the slope of function B. El slope de función A es menos que el slope de función B. All right, now, and now they start asking you about the y-intercept. Ahora te empiezan a preguntar sobre el y-intercept. So if you look at function A, the y-intercept is right here. It's where the line crosses the y-axis. So the y-intercept is -2 for function A. Okay, el y-intercept es donde la línea cruza el axis de Y. Así que para esta línea, el y-intercept es -2. And for this function, the y-intercept, it's already written in slope-intercept form. So when it's written in slope-intercept form, the y-intercept is this number back here. Okay, recuerden que cuando está escrito en la forma slope-intercept, el y-intercept es el número que está aquí atrás, el número que está solo, sin ningún variable. Okay, so para función B, el y-intercept es 5. For function B, the y-intercept is 5. So the correct answer here is that the y-intercept of function A is less than the y-intercept of function B. El y-intercept de función A es menos que el y-intercept de función B. All right, so here we're back to the slope. The slope of function B is 4. And the slope of function A is, I'm going to use this point and this one, 1, 2, 3 over 1. So 3 over 1. Whoops. 3 over 1. Okay, so the slope of function A is less than the slope of function B. El slope de función A es menos que el slope de función B. All right, now here they're asking you about the y-intercept. So function A is already written in slope-intercept form, so the y-intercept is -4. Ya función A está escrito en slope-intercept form, en la forma slope-intercept, así que el y-intercept es -4. And for this function, the y-intercept is -5. Para esta función, el y-intercept es -5. Okay, so therefore, -4 is greater than -5 because it's higher than -5 on the y-axis. Okay, -4 es más grande que -5 porque está más para arriba en el axis de Y. Así que esta sería la respuesta. El y-intercept de función A es más grande que el y-intercept de función B. The y-intercept of function A is greater than the y-intercept of function B. All right, next one. They're asking you about the slope again. So the slope for function A, the slope is 1. All right, the slope for function A is +1. El slope para la función A es +1. And for function B, if I use this point and this point, the slope is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. 5 over 1, which equals 5. All right, so the answer would be the slope of function A is less than the slope of function B. El slope de función A es menos que el slope de función B. All right, now we have a different type of problem. All right, now's where it gets a little bit more challenging. Ahora se pone un poquito diferente. Where you're going to have to write the equation of this line. If you forgot how, I'll show you how right now. Because you're going to have to substitute a value for x and work it out and see which one gives you a bigger and a smaller number. Okay, para estos problemas tienen que escribir una ecuación para esta línea. Si no se recuerdan cómo, ahora le enseño cómo, o les recuerdo porque ya lo hemos hecho. Alright, so to write an equation for this line in slope-intercept form, alright, I'm going to write it in this form. Voy a escribir una ecuación para la línea en función b en la forma slope-intercept, que luce así. Alright, so I need two numbers. I need the slope and I need the y-intercept. Para escribir esta ecuación necesito dos números, el slope y el y-intercept. Alright, so to get the slope, let's use this point and this point right here. Para calcular el slope voy a usar estos dos puntos. So the rise is going to be 4. Okay, el rise, la distancia vertical es 4. And the run, which is the horizontal distance, is 1. El run, que es la distancia horizontal, es 1. Así que el slope es 4 sobre 1, que es igual a 4. The slope is going to be 4 over 1, which equals 4. Alright, so y equals 4x. Now I need the y-intercept. Ahora me falta el y-intercept. For the y-intercept, just look at where does the line cross the y-axis? It crosses it at 0. So the y-intercept is 0. ¿Dónde es que la línea cruza el axis de y? En 0. Así que el y-intercept es 0. But you should always write your answer simplified. So that's the simplified answer for the equation of the line. Okay, eso es la ecuación para esta línea simplificado, porque el más 0 no es necesario, no se escribe. Alright, so the question is, which statement is true? The y value of function a when x equals 1 is greater than the y value of function b when x equals 1? Or the other one says is less than. So basically, we gotta substitute x equals 1 in both of them and see what we get in order to answer the question. Para poder poner la respuesta, tengo que primero saber cuando yo sustituyo x igual a 1 en las dos ecuaciones, qué es lo que me da. Alright, so in function a, when I substitute x equals 1 for x, okay, and I work this out, I'm going to get 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. Para función a, cuando sustituyo x igual a 1 y simplifico eso, lo que me va a dar el resultado es que y es igual a 6. And over here, when I substitute x equals 1, that came out horrible. Sorry, my pad is giving me some issues lately. Y equals the pad that I'm writing on. All right, when I do 4 times 1, I'm going to get 4 for this one. And for this one, I got 6. All right, so the correct answer is that the y value of function a when x equals 1 is greater than the y value of function b when x equals 1. Okay, la respuesta correcta es el valor para y de función a cuando x es igual a 1 es más grande que el valor para y cuando en función b cuando x es igual a 1. If you understood that, then if you've understood everything so far, those are all the types of problems you're going to have on the test. Not on the test, I'm sorry, on the IXL. Okay, the only thing is that they make it a little more challenging, but that's basically what you're going to be doing with these types of problems. Okay, so look at this one. Back to the y-intercept. The y-intercept of function a, all right, is it greater than or less than the y-intercept of function b? Well, function a, it says y equals 4x. That means that the y-intercept is 0. It's not written, but it's back here, okay? La pregunta es cuál de los dos tiene un y-intercept más grande o más pequeño que el otro. Así que para función a, el y-intercept no está escrito. Eso quiere decir que es 0. And for function b, it's 4. Para función b, el y-intercept es 4. Alright, so the correct answer is that the y-intercept of function a is less than the y-intercept of function b. El y-intercept de función a es menos que el y-intercept de función b. All right, back to the questions about the slope. Aquí le están preguntando otra vez sobre el slope. So the slope of function A is 2, because it's already written in slope-intercept form. And the slope of function B, if I use those 2 points, is going to be 1 over 4. So obviously 2 is greater than 1 over 4. So the slope of function A is greater than the slope of function B. Okay? Aquí el slope sería 1 sobre 4 y obviamente el slope de 2 es más grande que el slope de 1 sobre 4. Alright, so in this one we gotta write the equation of this line again. Aquí tenemos que escribir la ecuación de esta línea. Alright, so again it's gotta be in this form, y equals mx plus b. This is for function b. Alright, so the y-intercept is negative 2. El y-intercept es negativo 2. So that goes back here. And the slope is going to be, if I use that point and this point right here, si uso esos dos puntos, el slope va a ser 2 sobre 1. It's going to be 2 over 1, which equals 2. Alright, so the equation for this line is y equals 2x minus 2. By the way, this comes up a lot on exams and on the end of year exam that you have in Algebra 1 that you need to graduate. All right, this comes up a lot, and as you can see, it's not difficult at all. So I highly recommend that you learn this good because it's gonna come up a lot, and it's simple. Once you get it, it's not difficult at all. Okay, esto sale mucho durante el año y especialmente en el examen que tienen en la clase de Álgebra 1 al final del año, que cubre todo lo que han hecho durante el año y que necesitan pasar para graduar. Okay. Si no lo pasan la primera vez, le siguen dando más chance para pasarlo, pero tienen que pasar ese examen para graduar. Y esto, si están poniendo atención, esto es fácil. Así que es muy importante aprenderlo, porque sale mucho y no es difícil. Okay, so now we gotta evaluate if x, when you substitute x equals negative 2 into both functions, which one is greater than, which one is less than. Give me one moment, because I just had a knock on my door. Where do I pause the recording here? All right, guys, sorry about that brief interruption. All right, so let me continue with this example, with this problem. All right, so as I was saying, all right, the y-intercept for function b is negative 2. And for the slope, if I use this point and this point, the slope is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. All right, so the slope is going to be 4 over 2. That's a 2, 4 over 2. And when you simplify that, 4 divided by 2 is 2. All right, so the slope is 2. So here's the equation for this blue line right here. Y equals 2x minus 2. Aquí tengo la ecuación para esta línea. El slope era 4 sobre 2, que cuando lo simplifico me da 2. Y el y-intercept es este número aquí, negativo 2, donde la línea cruza el axis de Y. Alright, so when you look at the statement, we got to evaluate them for when x equals negative 2 in order to answer the question. Tenemos que evaluar estas ecuaciones y sustituir x igual a negativo 2 para poder hacer la pregunta. Okay, so when I substitute negative 2 for x, I'm going to get 5 times negative 2 plus 3. Alright, I think it's because I'm leaning on this little pad that I write on, and it's making me, it's coming out weird. Alright, so y equals 5 times negative 2 is negative 10 plus 3. Alright, so y is going to equal negative 7 for function A. For function B, when I substitute negative 2, I'm going to get y equals 2. Let me try it down here. Y equals let me try it again. Y equals 2 times negative 2 minus 2. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and negative 4 minus 2 is going to give you negative 6. Sorry that this is making a mess here. I don't know what's up with this pad. All right, so, okay, for this one I got y equals negative 7. For this one I got y equals negative 6. So that means that function b is greater than function a, and function a is less than function b. So this would be the answer. Función a es menos que función b, porque negativo 7, bueno, mejor dicho, el valor para y en función a es menos que el valor para y en función b, porque negativo 7 es menos que negativo 6. Negative 7 is less than negative 6. All right. All right, so here they're asking you about the y-intercept. So the y-intercept for function a is positive 1. El y-intercept de positivo 1. And for function b, it's positive 3. Para función b es positivo 3. So the y-intercept of function a is less than the y-intercept of function b. El y-intercept de función a es menos que el y-intercept de función b. Here they're asking us about the slope. Tenemos que encontrar el slope. So function b, the slope is 1 over 5. Para función b, el slope es 1 sobre 5. And for function a, if I use this point along with this one, the slope is 1/2. Okay, now we're comparing fractions. And you should know that 1/2 is greater than 1 over 5, but if you don't know or if you're not sure, the way you could tell for sure is you could divide the fractions. Divide the numerator by the denominator. So for example, for 1/2, if I divide 1 by 2, 1 divided by 2, 2 does not fit into 1, so I put a decimal point and a 0, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. Okay? So 1/2, when you change it into a decimal, is 0.5. Okay? And then let's do the same thing for 1 over 5. If I divide 1 divided by 5, wait, I'm sorry, I got confused. 1 divided by 5, 5 does not fit into 1, but if I put a decimal point and a 0, 5 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10, remainder 0. Alright, so 1 over 5 equals 0.2. Alright, so now I could compare the slope of function A with the slope of function B. That's if you weren't sure which one was bigger and which one was smaller. So this shows you that the slope of function A is greater than the slope of function B. Okay, deben saber que la fracción 1 sobre 2 es más grande que la fracción 1 sobre 5. Pero si no están seguros, siempre pueden dividir las fracciones para poder comparar cuál es más grande y cuál es más chiquito. 1 dividido por 2, el 2 no entra dentro del 1, así que se pone el punto decimal y el 0. 2 entra en 10 5 veces. Así que 1 sobre 2 es equivalente a 0.5. Y si hago lo mismo para 1 sobre 5, el 5 no cabe dentro del 1, así que pongo el punto decimal y el 0. 5 cabe dentro de 10 2 veces. Así que 1 sobre 5 es equivalente a 0.2. All right. Let me see how many examples we have left here. Wow, quite a few more. All right. So if you need help, you have plenty of examples here that I'm going to do. All right. So in this one, we gotta substitute the value of x and evaluate these functions. All right. So for function a, I gotta write out the equation for function a. The y-intercept is negative 3. The y-intercept is negative 3. And the slope, if I use these 2 points, is going to be 1 over 4. The slope is 1 over 4. El slope es 1 sobre 4. What? I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. I don't know why I wrote m. 1 over 4. I should have written x. I got confused. Okay, so now the question is, when you evaluate them both for x equals 10, which one is bigger and which one is smaller. Tenemos que sustituir para los dos x igual a 10 para saber cuál valor de y va a ser más grande y cuál va a ser más chiquito. Right, so for this one, y equals 1 over 4, parentheses 10, minus 3. All right, so when I multiply that, I'm going to get y equals 10 over 4 minus 3. Okay, and remember that to add or subtract fractions, they both got to have the same denominator. So if I change 3 over 1 to have a 4 on the bottom, I got to put a 12 on the top. Because notice that 12 divided by 4 is 3. How did I do that? Well, if the number on the bottom is going to be 4, if you're going to change the number on the bottom, then the denominator from a 1 to a 4, that means you multiply this entire fraction by 4. So if I multiply the top by 4, I'll get 12. So y is going to equal negative 2 over 4. And when I simplify that, I'm going to get negative 1/2 for y. Let me make sure I didn't make any mistakes here. 1 over... Wait, 1 over... You know what? I did make a mistake here. I'm sorry. I knew that looked unusually difficult for these problems. I wrote the wrong slope. Sorry about that. Let me fix that. The slope is actually... I didn't pay careful attention to the way it looked there. And it's not 1 over 4. It's 1 over 5. Okay, hice un error aquí. El slope es 1 sobre 5. Por accidente escribí 1 sobre 4. All right, so that means that the equation is going to be, this makes it a lot easier actually. 1 over 5x minus 3. The y-intercept is negative 3. So now when I substitute 10, this will become, when I multiply 1 over 5 times 10, I'm going to get 10 over 5. And when you divide 10 divided by 5, you're going to get 2. So y equals 2 minus 3. Y equals 2 minus 3, which equals negative 1. All right, so for function A, y equals negative 1. Para función A, el valor de y es negativo 1. Cuando x es igual a 10. I meant to say when x equals 10, the value of y equals negative 1. Maybe I should write it like this to make it more clear. When x equals 10, y is negative 1. Cuando x es 10, y es negativo 1. That's x, and this is y. All right, over here, when I substitute, substitute 10 for x, and multiply this, I'm going to get also 2, because that's what I did down here. I'm going to get 2 plus 1, so y equals 3. Ok, cuando multiplico 1 sobre 5 por 10, ya le enseñé aquí abajo, me va a dar 2, y 2 más 1 te da 3. Así que cuando x es 10 para función b, y es positivo 3. All right, so, sorry, this problem, since I made that mistake, it kind of came out a little bit messy. So the correct answer is going to be that the y value of function A when x equals 10 is less than the y value of function B when x equals 10. El valor de y para función A cuando x es igual a 10 es menos que el valor para y en la función de B cuando x es igual a 10. Let me see if I could fix the issue with my pad, with this pad that I'm drawing on or writing on here. Just one second. All right, next example about the y-intercept. So for the top one, for function A, the y-intercept is positive 4. And for function B, the y-intercept is positive 1. So the correct answer is that the y-intercept of function A is greater than the y-intercept of function B. El y-intercept de función A es 4 y el de función B es positivo 1. Así que el y-intercept de función A es más grande que el y-intercept de función B. All right, now look, towards the end, when you get into the challenge zone, you're going to have these questions where it says select all the statements that are true. I've seen some where there's several right answers, and I've seen, I got a question where there was only one right answer. All right. Así que cuando en los últimos problemas te van a decir que tienen que seleccionar todas las declaraciones que son verdaderos. Así que es bien posible que hay más de una respuesta correcta. También yo tuve un problema donde solamente había una respuesta correcta. Así que lo tienen que leer con cuidado. Alright, so in this one they're asking us first about the slope. Primero nos están preguntando sobre el slope. The slope of function b is 5 over 3. And the slope of function a, if I use this point and this point, all right, it's going to be, the rise is 6, and the run is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so the slope is 6 over 4. Which when I simplify it is going to give me 3 over 2. Okay, el slope de esta línea es 6 sobre 4 y cuando lo simplifico me da 3 sobre 2. Alright, so if you want to compare them and you're not sure which is bigger and which is smaller, you could divide them. 3 divided by 2, 2 goes into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. Remainder 1. Bring down this 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Alright, so 3 divided by 2 equals 1.5. Most of you probably knew that already, but just in case. Alright, so the slope of function A is 1.5. Its slope de función A is 1.5. Let me do the same thing for this fraction in case you're not sure. 5 divided by 3. 3 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. Remainder 2. Put a decimal point and bring down this 0. 3 goes into 20 6 times. And it's going to end up repeating, but basically 1.6 repeating. So as you can see, the slope of function b is greater than the slope of function a. So the answer for this one of the correct answers is the slope of function a is less than the slope of function b. Ok, 5 sobre 3 cuando lo divido me da 1.6 y el 6 sigue repitiendo. Así que el slope de la función a es menos que el slope de la función b. And for the bottom one, they're asking about the y value. So for the y value, I got to write the equation of this line. I had to refresh my memory what the slope was. I just erased it. All right, so the slope is 3 over 2x, and the y-intercept is 4. All right, so I got to substitute x equals negative 6 in both of them. Tengo que substituir en los dos x igual a negativo 6. When you substitute that, the fraction will vanish because, guys, the quick way to do this is, when possible, is to just do negative 6 divided by 2, and whatever that gives you, multiply it times 3. La manera rápido de hacer esto es negativo 6 dividido por 2, y lo que te dé eso se multiplica por 3. So negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, and negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. So now I got negative 9 plus 4. So y is going to equal negative 5. All right, so for function a, when x equals negative 6, y equals negative 5. Para función a, cuando x es negativo 6, y es negativo 5. Now let me do the same thing for function b. All right, so again, excuse me 1 second. All right, so all right, so in this one, the fast way to do it is negative 6 divided by 3, which will give you negative 2, and negative 2 times 5 will give you negative 10. All right. The slow way would have been -6 times 5, which gives you -30, and -30 divided by 3 is -10. All right. So for this one, when I add -10 plus 2, y is going to equal -8. So in this one, when x equals -6, y equals -8. So the correct answer down here is that the y value of function a when x equals -6 is less than, no, I'm sorry, I said that wrong, is greater than. Okay, because -5 is greater than -8. -5 es más grande que -8. Gotta pause the recording 1 second again. All right, guys. So on this one right here, same thing. Let me just write out the equation of the line so I can be ready to answer whatever the questions are. So my y-intercept for this line is -5. El y-intercept es -5. And the slope is going to be +1 over 3. El slope es 1 sobre 3. All right, so is the y-intercept of function a less than or equal to the, because that's what it says here, less than or equal to the y-intercept of function b? It's equal to. Okay, el y-intercept de función a es igual a el y-intercept de función b. And then for the next two questions, you gotta substitute 6 and evaluate what you get when you substitute 6 for x. Para la próxima dos preguntas tenemos que sustituir 6 y evaluar lo que nos da cuando x es igual a 6. Alright, so again, do it my little technique. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 2 times 1 is 2. Or you could do it the slow way. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Alright, and 2 minus 5 is going to equal -3. So in function a, when x is 6, y equals -3. Para función a, cuando x es igual a 6, y es igual a -3. And for function b, when I substitute x equals 6, I don't know what is happening with this thing. It's really messing me up. Okay, disculpa, pero lo que uso para escribir no me está funcionando bien hoy. Okay, so 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 2 times 4 is 8. And then 8 minus 5. 8 minus 5 is going to give me y equals 3. All right, so okay, so for this one, the y value of function a is less than the y value of function a when x equals 6 is less than the y value of function b when x equals 6. So this would be the answer. The y value of function a when x equals 6 is less than the y value of function b when x equals 6. All right, guys. I'm gonna stop doing the examples there because I'm having technical difficulties here. But I think I covered all the I covered all the possible different types of problems that you're gonna get on this IXL. All right. So remember to make sure to get to 100 points, and it's due by 6 a.m. that you have me. It's due by 6 a.m. the next day that you have my class, okay? Recuerden que la tarea lo tienen que entregar antes de las 6 de la mañana el próximo día que tienen mi clase y tienen que llegar hasta 100 puntos. Y el IXL es sección S.15. The IXL that we're doing for today is IXL section S.15. Compare linear functions, graphs, and equations. Okay, this concludes this lesson. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.